Round 1, fight!
Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're taking a look at 10 of the worst fighting games ever made.
The winner of this match, Kenny Omega!
Before we begin, we publish new videos all week long, so be sure to subscribe to MojoPlays and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. Balls 3D. Tech demos can be cool products from time to time, as they can show users some of a console's key features and the potential power. However, not all tech demos are worthy of sale, and a game like Balls 3D isn't going to move the needle for anybody. In addition to the bizarre soundtrack, and that's putting it gently, Balls 3D designed every single character using only mildly animated spheres. This, coupled with the layout of each battleground, was to simulate 3D space within the confines of the Super NES and Sega Genesis. Some outlets bought into the novelty at the time and gave it high praise, but those familiar with the works of more pristine studios like Capcom, SNK, and eventually Namco could see this was nothing more than a half-baked concept built around innuendos to use for marketing. Multiverses. In terms of gameplay, Multiverses was once an excellent game. The beta version we saw in 2022 showed so much promise that it was such an enigma for Player First Games and Warner Brothers Games to just suddenly pull the game from the market. Fast forward to 2024, when Multiverses returns with an official 1.0 launch, and nobody is happy. Not one. The game speed was severely slowed down, the UI lacked any sort of personality, the roster remained largely unchanged since we last saw it, and the monetization was far more egregious than ever before. Multiverses would go on for 4 seasons post-launch before making Season 5 its final one, and stating the game would shut down at the end of May 2025.
And? Who said my name? Who said it?
Can I tell you a secret?
Really?
Kasumi Ninja. Going back to 1994, we saw yet another stinker in fighting games with Kasumi Ninja, although this one was not the least bit surprising. This fighter was published by Atari exclusively for the Atari Jaguar, which was already proving to be a massive flop at the time. But that's only a minor sign of the game's lack of quality. Once you play it, you'll discover some of the most heinous visuals and controls that you could never fathom without experiencing this game firsthand. There is so much jank and so much clash between color schemes that Kasumi Ninja achieves a level of ugliness that would put an ogre to shame, even if said ogre was about to hit their 5th movie. AEW Fight Forever.
Introducing the challenger, Yuka Sakazaki.
Developer Yuke's and the AEW brand were talking a very big game in the months leading up to this rancid ring. So much gab about the good old days where you and your buds hung around the living room playing WWF No Mercy on N64 and PS1. Well, they reached a worse version of that game in 2023. AEW Fight Forever does match the arcadey feel of the game, but for what you were paying for, there was nothing worthwhile here. The campaign was super short and monotonous, replay value was non-existent with such few modes to dive into, and buggy does not begin to describe the litany of technical problems that plagued this game. It's awful. AEW deserved better, and with 2K and Visual Concepts rejuvenating the WWE 2K franchise with 2K22, Fight Forever caused many to call Yuke's reputation into question.
Here is your winner, and still the AEW Women's World Champion, Thunder Rosa.
Stake Fortune Fighters. There were a handful of fighting games that desperately tried to stake their flag into the first Xbox console as exclusives, pun intended, but Stake Fortune Fighters was one of the most humiliating we saw. This was an arena brawler almost similar to Power Stone, except it had a more traditional deathmatch scoring system as you would expect from a game like Unreal Tournament. The only difference was that those games were technically sound, they had excellent controls, and they integrated fun level design and mechanics. Stake Fortune Fighters had none of those things, only ever reaching the historic achievement for most forgotten Xbox exclusive in the console's history, and deservedly so. Well, at least that's the dishonorable title that we would give it. Kabuki Warriors. Joining the laundry list of forgotten Xbox exclusives is this sad excuse of a 2D fighter. Kabuki Warriors sees two performers dueling on stage and fighting for the praise of the audience. We'll give it brownie points for concept, but what really drags this whole thing down are the lack of music and the lazy level design. Really, every fight is done in total silence, and the only part of the background that ever changes is the backdrop. Combat, on the other hand, is so undercooked that it felt like developers Genki and Lightweight just stopped all design at a few basic slashes and stabs. The art of Kabuki theater deserved way more respect than what it got here. The Simpsons Wrestling. For every great Simpsons game we've had, there have been about 3 or 4 awful ones. The Simpsons Wrestling has got to be the worst one ever made, with Simpsons Skateboarding at a close second. While a Simpsons-themed fighting game has its appeal, The Simpsons Wrestling was the laziest attempt one could have ever made. Developed by Big Ape Productions, this was among the last of the PS1 games ever made, and it became infamous for its long load times, lack of polish, and severely improper balancing between its playable characters. All you gotta do is play Ned Flanders and spam God to see everything wrong with this game. It's pretty abysmal.
1, 2, 3.
Samurai Showdown Sen. Several fighting games suffered greatly as their owners tried to force some of them to transition into the 3D space. Samurai Showdown already had an attempt with this in 1999 with Warriors Rage, but Sen was the game that left the franchise dead for over a decade. No fan, critic, or even tourist could stand the horrendous visuals, the bland environments, and the needlessly graphic violence that would have pleased any Mortal Kombat casual. Samurai Showdown, this was not, and the franchise wouldn't see another new game after this until 2019.
よほど他人の喧嘩に首を突っ込むのが好きなようだな。
Fighter Within.
Round 1, fight!
If you believe fighting games and motion controls go hand in hand like peanut butter and jelly, we'd agree with you. That is, if every fighting game was Wii Sports with just the boxing portion. But ever since Fighter Within stormed the scene alongside the Xbox Kinect, some of us in the FGC have had no reason to share this notion. Fighter Within was broken in every sense of the word, as controls were unresponsive 90% of the time and often led to moments akin to that infamous Avatar leg twitch demo at E3. And once you've reached that magnitude of poor programming, it's all over for you.
Ring out!
And lastly, Catfight. No, the footage you are seeing is not busted. There was no encoder issue on our end. This is really how Catfight runs on a computer newer than what was available in 1996. And even then, the game ran at such an abysmal state. Catfight featured a roster of only women wearing revealing outfits, and it features some of the most lifeless voice acting and tamest sex appeal that you would expect. This would be the first last and only game ever developed by Phantom Card. As for publisher Atlantean Interactive Games, the company would publish one more game before vanishing from the industry completely. But tell us, what's the worst fighting game that you've ever played? Did it make our list? This might sound petty on my end, but any SNK game that doesn't have Mai Shiranui is a crime against humanity. That's right, I'm looking at you, King of Fighters 12. But let us know what you think down in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe to MojoPlays for more great videos every day.